Hello, fellow apes. Hey, Statto.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. Just chilling out. Smoking my cigarettes in their holders.
Perfect.
What are you drinking tonight?
Same crap I'm always drinking. Trying to be healthy and miserable.
I'm drinking tap water right now, and ice.
Ooh.
Just because I've got a wee bit of a rough throat, just to keep it nice and smooth. Dulcet tones for all this talking. Yeah.
Sure.
And I was imagining Scotland are playing as well, so I'll probably be checking in on them every now and then. So.
Oh yeah.
I doubt very much I'm going to be cheering, but you never know.
True.
Right. Let's see. Hey, Dave, how you doing? Looking hairy.
Hey,
I
Dave.
am indeed. Actually, Dave, I can't show myself right now because I've just cut my own hair today. I know. Actually, I can. Let's see.
Can.
Let's go. Ready with this? Cut out. Cut my
I
own
like
hair.
it.
There we go. I couldn't get a hairdresser, and I couldn't see because my hair was a bit right down to my chin because I haven't cut it since the whole first lockdown. So
Oh wow.
I just got some scissors out of me. I'm getting fed up with this. Cut my fringe. Yeah. So I'm now cultivating a Billy Ray Cyrus mullet.
Yeah.
Not through design, but that's the way it's going. So yeah, I think yeah, I'm going to have to invest in some hairspray.
It's fixable.
Yeah, definitely. So who's here with us today? Oh, People Circus. Yes. Hey, peeps. Good to see you. The lockdown here. God, you better believe it. What's sad about it, Dave, is there's actually plenty of places I could go to get a cut. Just didn't. It's just, I'm stuck in the house all day. And I'm just like, you know what? I've got scissors, so they're hair cutting scissors. I can draw in a straight line, so I figured I could cut a straight line.
And it didn't work out?
Well, kind of. It's all right. It's not bad.
Or as far as what you're talking about, it worked out great.
So it's slightly feathered, but I thought what I'll do is I'll get my wife to kind of like tidy it up for me,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've lost my glasses. That didn't help.
You don't have like a set of clippers?
No, I don't. No.
Oh.
No, I don't. No. I was thinking about that. I was thinking I could buy a pair of clippers, and that probably would solve a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'd have the old do I put on the number 2 or the number 3 or whatever.
You put it on the biggest one and then go, and then all of it's one length, and you can't screw up that way. That's
but you see, I'm one of these people that I just keep going that wee bit further. So I probably would go. I would go, well, maybe if I try the other one, because I do that when I've got the beard clippers. I've got my beard clippers, and then I end up shaved because I just can't stop myself. Anyway, all this talk of hair is going to link us to tonight's topic, which is
perfect.
Get a bowl cut. There's a few of those in Planet of the Apes, actually. Quite a few bowl cuts. Right. So yeah, I think all of our shows have been leading to this one. I think.
Mm-hmm. Right.
whether anybody likes it or not. The Planet of the Apes. Okay, 2 series really, or franchises, if you want to use that word.
There's a few different ways to go.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about them.
But we're going to talk about. I'm going to talk about maybe not everything, but quite a lot of stuff. Yeah, this is really the pre-Star Wars franchise that had all the toys and the spin-offs and everything.
Oh yeah, they did a lot of merchandising with this thing.
Yeah, it kind of was my Star Wars when I was a kid. It was like Star Trek, the classic series, and Planet of the Apes were like the 2 big science fiction.
It could very well have been like a planet on there.
Yeah,
they touched down. Exactly,
it's got that feel to it. It's probably that Californian sort of like background. I see that's one of the things we can talk about in this as well, because the Apes movies, the original series, are very much grounded in real world settings. Even the sets are built in them. So it's going to be a fun chat. Right, I'm going to...
Lots of segregation going on in these movies.
There is indeed. This is like... oh, nice. I like the avatar. We've got to do this again. Here we go.
It's horrifying.
There we go. It's either, I don't know, is it Roddy McDowell?
Yeah, it should be a creature from the island of Dr. Moreau because
I was Roddy McDowell or Kim Hunter. I was trying to figure out which one.
Roddy's the star of the old series.
He is indeed.
He was in almost every one of them, if not every one of them, wasn't he?
Nope, oops, that's the wrong one. Sorry about that. Well, he wasn't in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, although he might have been because there was a flashback at the beginning. But he was. I suppose,
he made a cameo at least in each of them.
Yeah. So, but he didn't. He wasn't able to play the whole part.
Mm-hmm. I like this series.
Cheers, Pete.
I like this series because of how cyclical it is. You could start at any point. In at least these first 5, you can start at any point and then just keep on going, and it'll like go right into the next one. If you start at the very end, you can go right to the first one, and it'll be perfect. If you start at the third one, you can go to the fourth, the fifth, and it'll be perfect. It's
this is it's like I watched because I've seen them all so many times.
Oh yeah.
In the past fortnight, I watched Battle first, right, and then I went to Beneath.
Sure. Now that's a little different.
Yeah, and then I went to Conquest. I kind of purposefully wanted to see what it felt like, completely out of sequence. They still sort of work. There's loads of inconsistencies in them, but they don't seem to bother you.
Right.
The continuity stuff doesn't bother you with these films because it's almost like they're parables and stories that have been told separate from each other, but they all link together.
Yeah, they all had a point, but there's a very definite through line, and that's one of those nice things that old movies used to do, where they'd take the ending of the one before it and say, "How can we build off of this?" Well, it was a tight movie. No, about how can we build off of this? Well, I don't know. We could throw some moon on the guy's hand, and he can come back as a werewolf, and we'll just say the other thing didn't take. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I think Planet of the Apes, the original one, because these are based on a novel, even if I can speak English, by Pierre Boulle, called Monkey Planet.
That sounds like just as good a title.
It is. I was wondering whether they can do one of the Planet of the
Monkey
Apes.
Planet.
Monkey Planet. Or even just a TV show, Monkey Planet. Yeah. I don't think there's much in common with the original book other than the premise.
Right.
Although the writer was involved in doing a treatment for Beneath the Planet of the Apes, but they didn't go with it. But yeah, he also wrote The Bridge in the River Kwai as well, funnily enough. Yeah. So Planet of the Apes, very much, the original Planet of the Apes were very much about social kind of like conscience and commenting on society, and they weren't subtle about it either.
No. They had a little, like, each group had a very specific form and function as far as.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of the apes where, like, you had the gorillas and they all dressed the same and were a particular kind.
They were the most racist and the most, like, aggressive.
Thuggish. Yep. You had your orangutans.
Yep. They were kind of shifty and politicians. Almost.
Yep. Never trust an orangutan since then. And then you had the chimpanzees.
Scientists and philosophers.
Yep, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's kind of like an identity politics thing well before all that kind of got going as well.
Tribalism within a tribe kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and they all stuck to, or most of them stuck to their kind of like their places, sort of like in society.
Their hierarchy in their areas, yeah.
Yeah, and the politicians, of the orangutans, they knew secrets that others didn't know, and they kept them, they kept them to themselves and all that kind of stuff. So it's very much a kind of commentary on real world sort of
they were the Senate and the courts.
But they're dead obvious as well. There's one scene where they don't want to hear the truth in a trial, and so one of them covers their ears, other one their eyes, and other their mouth. See no evil, hear no evil. Speak no evil. It's so over the top, but kind of works.
Right.
I think critics were a bit hard on it at times because it was heavy-handed. But I saw it as a kid. And I think it was just right, because kids watching these films, they're going to get ideas about politics and society and race and stuff that they haven't thought about before. And that's kind of a good way to get them in a very broad sense. And these films are really good for that.
Well, yeah, kids aren't going to notice on-the-nose stuff hardly at all. I mean, like,
not at all.
I was a kid. I thought Highlander 2 was amazing. Then I grew up and like watched it, and I was just like, oh, what? It doesn't make any sense.
It's still kind of amazing.
Well, it's amazing that there are many versions of it, and it's
yes. Yeah, funny you should mention that, Pete. No. Don't put ideas into my head. I've got enough to be doing. But,
man, but yeah, I think this was the first movie I saw Heston in.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Sure, yep. I saw this one when I was a kid. I didn't see the later ones until much later. This one, the next one that I would have seen would have been the Tim Burton one.
Right.
Or no, maybe I saw part of the second one, part of Beneath the Planet.
Wow, that's a big jump though, going from that straight to the Tim Burton one.
Yeah, I missed a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think whether this is. I don't know if this is the first Heston. I think I'd probably seen El Cid because that seemed to be on TV all the time when I was a kid. But yeah, it would be one of the earliest ones I'd seen Heston in anyway. It's almost like his definitive role, wasn't it?
Well, this one, maybe Omega Man.
Oh, well, I suppose so. Yeah, Omega Man.
It was only like a year after the second movie here. Mega Man was 71 and Beneath was 70.
And the writers of that, they wrote Conquest of the Planet of the Apes as well. Not entirely, but they were involved in it.
Which is kind of weird with Omega Man because it feels very similar to the antagonists of the second movie, the mutants.
Yeah, and again, it's very on the nose with its symbolism as well.
Yeah,
even more so, I think, than with its sort of Christ-like ending and so on. But yeah, another good. We could probably do a show just on Charlton Heston's science fiction movies.
We'll have to do like some actor spotlights every once in a while.
Yeah, definitely, that's one to do. Yeah, but this was like a man-hunted, caged, forced to mate by civilized apes. That's promising quite a lot that you're not going to get in a PG-rated movie, thankfully. Right. But it's good advertising. It's over the top.
This had some great surprising moments in it. Like, when you're watching it, like there were genuine points where you go, "Holy crap!" Like, whoa! Even though it's an older movie, like
definitely.
There were points like the lobotomy and the stuff like that it just creeps up on you and hits you how cruel that some of these apes can be. It's
even just when they're like they've taken off their clothes, they're washing themselves, and they're eating the fruit, and they're kind of like they're thinking about, we've landed on our feet here. We'll be running this place within weeks, and then the apes appear and start kind of like tracking them all down. It's an impressive scene, and it's it's quite visceral.
Some great makeup for the time too.
Yeah, the makeup deteriorates as the movies get cheaper, but it's still
like anything.
Yeah, it's still good. This was because back then it's like 1968, the original.
I think so.
Yeah, back then it was a case of like sequels were diminishing returns, so they spent less on them. So you can see that with every single one of these Apes films as they get smaller and smaller budgets.
Well, at this point, science fiction movies were kind of like low 50s or mid 60s. Science fiction movies like slumming. It's like, you're doing this when your career's on hold or dying.
Yeah, exactly. And people didn't do sequels either. That was another thing. Getting them to do sequels was very difficult. So it's kind of like Charlton Heston doing this. It was a big hit, but he wasn't particularly wanting to come back to do any kind of sequels. Yes. I need to listen to everybody. Right. Okay. Yeah. I think I never saw the TV series until much later.
I don't think I have. Period.
But yeah, Planet of the Apes. I think it's still, if you were to do a top 10 science fiction films, this would have to be one of the top 10, if not the top 5.
It ages really well because of its simplicity. Like, there's not a lot that would age it for like the time. Like, you don't look at this and say that's a 70s movie, that's a 60s movie. Really, because it could be made. This kind of thing could be made anytime.
Yeah, well, there's nothing to tie the human characters other than the spaceship and their space just now, and even they kind of work because they're very sleek and well designed. The
very first few minutes when they show like them going into space and stuff like that, maybe is the closest you get.
Yeah,
but no, it's
stylishly done.
I think it ages better than 2001, and that was done later.
Yeah, Yep, I think so. Because it sets up a world that's completely alien, yet we recognise, traits about that world, and that doesn't age. The Ape City doesn't age. It looks as good today as it did then.
Just a village, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, Planet of the Apes, of course, we can't talk about Planet of the Apes without spoiling it. I don't have an image here, but the big spoiler ending. So, guys, go away for 5 minutes if you don't want to hear this.
The ending has been like a joke for the last 30
or 40
years.
I know, I'm joking. I still get angry about that, though, when they release DVDs and they put the ending on because there's a lot of kids out there, it's the first time they're going to see this movie, That's the way I used to, maybe not now, because everybody streams everything, but for the past few years, I've always kind of thought that. It's like, use other images.
This may be premature to ask this question, but do you think if you only were able to show people one of these movies of the original 5, this would be the one, or do you think one of the sequels would be better?
It would be this one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I do love them all, of the original series, but this is the one to show them. It doesn't need a sequel either. It's a complete movie. And it has a terrific ending. It doesn't need a sequel, but I'm quite glad they made a sequel.
and another.
and another. Because they have that kind of nice 70s B movie quality about them.
Yeah.
And then they have that kind of like 70s TV movie quality, which I quite like as well. But this was a big success, and I think it did better than people expected it to do. The studio, however, didn't do that well, because later on, I think they were in pretty dire straits when they got around to finally making Beneath the Planet of the Apes, because they'd spent an awful lot of money in blockbusters, films like Hello Dolly that hadn't done well, and they had to kind of like make their money back. And Beneath the Planet of the Apes, when it came out, actually did quite well and make some money back. So in a way, it was like this realization that cheaper sequels to things can actually bring in a wee bit of revenue.
Well, the third one was definitely cheaper.
Definitely, yeah. But the sequel was Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The spoiler was, of course, he was on, not the Planet of the Apes, he was on Earth all along in the future.
Yep.
And he understands this when he sees the Statue of Liberty. Although, if you're paying attention earlier on, there's a doll that they find that who can talk. And that's kind of a giveaway that they're on Earth as well.
I feel like this one, the budget being chopped, or they didn't go to location halfway through. They went to pretty much what looked like, a soundstage of a cave, and then just kind of stuck in there for the rest of the movie.
Yep. Oh, gosh. Pete's getting political in the chat. Right. Okay. You said you watched some of this, but you never saw the whole thing the first time you watched.
I don't think, when I was a kid, I don't think that I probably at that point in my life, because like my taste varied like all through my life. At that point, I think I must have come in during a slow part, because it was on TV with commercials and stuff like that. I remember them coming up to the nuclear bomb and Heston coming out like, "I've got a bomb here," and whatnot, like worshiping it like a cult kind of thing. I don't remember the mutants. I don't remember the what felt like 3 different endings this movie had. And you're like, okay, it's going to end. And then it keeps on going some more. And you're like, oh shoot, it's going to end. And then it keeps on, then they rip their faces off the mutants, and then it keeps on going some more. but yeah, I remember some of it. And then after that, it was just sort of like, I think there are some more, but I don't really feel like watching them. And then I watched the Tim Burton one. We'll talk about that later. And then I didn't really get back on until the new ones. And then I bought the DVD box set of this. And so, I'm giving these another chance. And I was pretty pleasantly surprised. Hello, Lucifer Storm.
It did.
So it was a lot like James Bond, where it took a current movie to make me go back and watch the past ones and appreciate them more, versus like when I saw them when I was a little kid going, not for me. We're the monsters. Where's the, I was big into horror movies when I was a kid, like lots of 80s slashers and stuff. So this was a little bit out. I watched everything, but I think this one just didn't grab me until later on.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Beneath then? Is this one of the lesser ones for you?
It's got this one for me. It feels like, I don't. It's got a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? There's like it's just like they threw darts at a board. We got to make this bigger. What do we do?
This was always one of my favorites.
Oh, it was good, but I mean, like compared to the rest of them, I think this one had the biggest scope.
Yeah,
all 5.
It's like every second scene introduces something new to it.
They had to make all kinds of crazy new stuff, and then comparing it to the next one, where it was just like the next one is like this franchise's version of Dracula in 1974. Like, we don't got any money, bring him into the future.
Yeah, well, when I watched this recently, what kind of got me was because this one is like the first one was directed by Franklin Schaffner, who he's made some really kind of interesting movies. He made Papillon, which was a good film, and he also made later years he made The Boys from Brazil, which was a kind of good kind of boys' own adventure type movie based on an Ira Levin novel. It's got Gregory Peck as a Nazi, so it's like interesting casting, but worked really well. But he was replaced by Ted Post on this one, who is like a mostly TV director, but he has made movies, big movies as well. He made Hang 'em High and Magnum Force, and some. He made the not so classic Chuck Norris Good Guys Wear Black. But what I noticed watching this again was there's a one scene where James Franciscus, he's the hero in this one. He ends up. It was almost like you could take the entire sequence out of a western. He ends up fighting with an ape on the top of like a wagon, where the horses are running and all that kind of stuff, and then he has to go down and he has to get the reins and get the horses back in, control again. And I'm like, this is almost, because Ted Post directed a lot of episodes of Rawhide and stuff like that. So like for about 5 minutes, it's almost like I'm watching a western with a half-naked man and an ape in it. And then it goes on, like you say, you've got like the mutants who have like their ESP that can control people's minds and make them do stuff, and then you've got the Charlton Heston, who appears at the start of the movie, disappears, and then appears at the very end. And the mutants are their god is the Omega bomb, which will take out not just an entire kind of city or area, it will take out the world. And you're like, I remember watching this as a kid because I saw this in a cinema as a double bill with Escape from the Planet Apes in a Glasgow Glasgow theatre that did matinees for children on Saturday mornings. It was quite a dangerous place to be because it was full of Scottish children, some of which were trying to kill other ones, during the show. But if you got the right kind of seating, you could just sit and watch the movie. And I remember that's why I love it so much, because I thoroughly enjoyed seeing it in the cinema. But it's nuts, and it has spoiler again. Charlton Heston, who said he'd only appear in it if they killed him off. They give him like the best exit ever, where he doesn't just kill himself, he destroys the entire planet. So
I did the best I could. I bought a projector, LED projector, and I shot this thing onto my wall, so I had like a 12-foot screen, and I was looking up at it to see some of these classic movies. I didn't care so much about the newer ones, but I mean, like some of the older ones, like watching Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with like that or that like extreme, like long strip of a movie, the extreme wide vision they had there, stuff like that was really cool to see on the wall. And this one I watched too, on the wall, and it helps. It helps a little bit. It's
not as well shot as the other ones as far as like using the widescreen and everything, but it's still got some of the sets and the costumes and that from the first film, so it looks as if money's been spent on it, even though it is cheaper.
Right.
And
every dollar on that screen.
And the underground sort of like sets when they go down into the city, they're all kind of reconstituted sets from Hello Dolly that they're using in there. So it adds to the budget by being able to use other sets from other big budget movies, quite cleverly. But Beneath the Planet of the Apes ends with the entire world being destroyed, and a bit of narration at the very end, which kind of like spoken by a guy who just sounds as if he's like, and then there ends humanity. It's just something like that. This
is basically the true ending to the franchise.
Yeah, pretty much.
They went back, made everything else a prequel. This is the ending. But because of that little escape kind of thing, that's where the cyclical part comes in.
Exactly. And there's one of the mutants. If anybody's interested, that's Victor Bueno. That's one of the mutants. A weird concept that you really only get in 1970s science fiction, and it kind of works. This cult of humans who they keep going on about. They keep going on about how they don't kill people, but what they do is they use their mind controlling powers to get people to kill other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so very, very
weird. They can't do anything. You could walk up and slap them.
Did Goldsmith? I don't know if he did do the music again on this. I don't know if he did. I think he did. He did in the first one. I don't think he came back for this one. It may have been. I know Lalo Schifrin did the TV show. I don't know. I'm going to look that up right now, unless you've got anything in front of you that will have that.
No, I don't have. Where do I know that actor from, though? He's in some westerns, right?
He was in Who's Afraid of... Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Okay.
He's in that, and he's got a black mustache and hair, and he's not all disgustingly grotesque.
Right.
But
Wild Wild West, I think I seem to remember him.
Yeah, he could very well. He's one of these guys that was in tons of things throughout the 70s.
He's a that guy. He's a due-payer.
Yeah, he was in loads of...
Oh, no, Greatest Story Ever Told. That's where I think I remember him from.
Well, everybody was in that.
Yeah, even John Wayne. Do you remember that?
Really, he is a son of...
Yeah. They couldn't have him in there because he was so recognizable, but he just wanted one line because he was just so needing to be in this movie. Truly, this man was the son of God.
Yeah. I used to watch that film just to see that because it's kind of like I'm sitting here. I've got my John Wayne bobblehead out of the box that's sitting behind me. I'll bring it on screen at some point. I'm not finding who did the music for this.
No, I'm not either.
No. So I'm thinking it can't be Jerry Goldsmith.
Music, Jerry Goldsmith.
Was it? Or did he do it for this one as well?
Sure did.
All right, cool. So it was. Right, excellent. I didn't realise
Wait.
It doesn't sound...
Leonard Rosenman.
Leonard Rosenman, that's more like it, because it's Jerry Goldsmith's theme, but it's much more of a like a western, sci-fi western.
Yeah.
Aye, so they wouldn't get him back again. It'd be too much money.
Yeah.
Perfect. Anyway, get this good-looking guy off. Escape from the Planet of the Apes. This is what's brilliant about this series, is like every film is different from the one before.
Mm-hmm.
The budgets are getting less, so what do? We don't want lots of ape makeup, so we just need a couple of apes. Just before the world gets destroyed by Charlton Heston, apes in a spaceship take off, go through a black hole or whatever, and end up back in 1973 in America.
Yep, like I said, Dracula 1974. That's their version.
Exactly. So it was one of those things where it's got a brilliant opening as well, where they're coming to the spaceship with the helmets and everyone's there, and then they take the helmets off and they're apes, and these humans are like, oh my god, it's apes.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. This is more of a comedy for the most part, isn't it?
There's nothing else they could do. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's more of a comedy, but it's still it's a kind of like again, they're looking at society there and then in the 1970s and the bourgeois society that they end up being a part of, and the exploitation that they face, in society, and then the fear people have of something that's different, the fear that they have of their son.
Hold on a second here. Baby Milo. What? Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this one, but wasn't that supposed to be Caesar later?
Well, yeah. Remember I said there's lots of inconsistencies between these movies.
Say, I'm looking at this going
so
Caesar was supposed to be the kid.
Yeah, and I think in the previous one of the previous ones, it's Aldo or somebody else they mentioned another name.
Oh, so two kids.
Yeah, but the way I look at it is they could be creating different paradoxes every time that they go, and so nothing really needs to make that much sense. It just has to link, like you say, from the end of one into the beginning of the other. But because there's so much travel through black holes and time and all this kind of stuff, any inconsistencies, you can't just kind of write them off.
Right.
I
mean,
yeah.
Unless you're one of those people that like to watch for like, oh, the glass is it's empty. Now it's full again.
Yeah.
Now it's empty.
Baby Milo, remember, he chooses his own name in the next movie. He chooses his name and he chooses Caesar.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. They could be calling him that and they go, nah, that's not my name.
Yeah, but I still think it's inconsistent because I'm pretty sure they give him another name in the original. They mentioned something in the original movie. Right. I can't remember now. But this is like was it Don Taylor? I think it was Don Taylor that directed this one. And yes, it was, and he was interesting as well because he directed the sequel to. Or did he direct a sequel? I was thinking he directed a sequel. Maybe he didn't.
To which one? Escape?
Yep, he did. He directed Damien the Omen 2.
Oh, yeah.
But not only did he direct Damien the Omen 2, he directed the amazing Final Countdown with Kirk Douglas.
Oh, goodness.
Yep. So he did a lot of kind of like really commercial films.
Is that the one with the robot?
No, it's the one where the World War II kind of like ship comes forward in time, and it's kind of like it's mental.
I was thinking the one where there's a killer robot chasing him around on the space station.
No, it's set during Pearl Harbor, and it's
gotcha.
It's all about time travel and stuff.
That's right.
It's bonkers. Yeah, but yeah. So that's Don Taylor, because I find that the directors are interested for these films as well because they bring a bit of their own personality to it. And in his case, he was very much a jobbing kind of like workman,
Sure.
But he went for it, So it's like I'm going for the comedy for this, or whatever the film was, he went for it, and that's what was good about him.
I want to say this and Battle were probably the ones that were the most forgettable for me in terms of like having an impact. I think Battle was like the smallest budget, and they had most of their ideas were used up.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one was just kind of like, it was like an aside thing. Like, like we're just going to have them come and have some hijinks, and it's unique in its own right. It's just one of those things where every other one, like the big one had like all the big surprises the first time ones. The second one had the huge ending, the nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one had like the Watts riot style stuff with Caesar, a new character. And then that was also the one they kind of based the whole new trilogy on. So
yeah, I think again, I'm probably going to watch this one again in the next week or so because I liked this one a lot when I was younger. I liked the fact that Roddy McDowall and Kim Hunter got a lot to do in it, especially Roddy McDowall. He gets to really kind of like do some interesting sort of funny things playing.
He usually did a really good job in whatever he was in.
Yeah,
even when he was Bookworm on Batman. Yeah,
totally kind of like underrated actor, but a really good character actor for his time, and a leading man in these films. So he took over from this film onwards. He was the leading man of these films. I think Bradford Dillman was the main human in it, because there was always a main human. So it was Charlton Heston, then James Franciscus and beneath, and then who was kind of like a carbon copy of what Charlton Heston was. And this had Bradford Dillman, who was always playing kind of shady guys in suits in the 1970s movies, like Clint Eastwood's boss and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's worth having a look. But what it really does is it sets up the fact that we are getting a different movie every time we watch a Planet of the Apes film, which is that's really cool. You never know what you're going to get next.
This wasn't even my first Roddy thing. My first was it would either be
Sorry, it was Pete's giving Jess Franco kicking a fortnightly kicking of Jess Franco continues.
My first Roddy would either have been Fright Night or Batman the Animated Series. Probably Fright Night, and then Batman the Animated Series. He was the Mad Hatter, and what a great voice.
He was. Right. Yeah, he was
the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, no, my main Roddy McDowall, I think, was this, and probably a Columbo.
Oh, okay.
Something like that,
I think he was Peter Vincent for me first. That was the first thing I saw him in.
Yeah. That's a brilliant role.
He was amazing in that role.
Amazing. Yeah, but yeah, Escape. So okay. I'm going to revisit this one again. I just like the fact that it threw a curveball at you. But I remember when I saw it, I didn't see this in that double bill because after Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the building was evacuated.
Why?
I'm still not quite sure. Maybe a few hundred street urchins from Glasgow and various things were being thrown around, all kinds of stuff. But they stopped the showing of the double bill for people's safety. I think a gang fight maybe broke out up in the stalls. I don't know. Which kind of leads us to this one, Conquest. How's that for a
Conquest? I like this one.
I do too. This is one of my favourites. The masks are a lot more obvious because the budget's low.
Oh yeah, because they've got like 4 working masks, and the rest of them are just kind of pulled out things in the background. You can sort of see. Yeah,
and you can see the join. You can see it there on Roddy McDowell. You can see the kind of join around the mask goes on the head. It's John Chambers did the makeup. I'm trying to remember now. It was a case of like finding cheaper ways of doing it for each movie. They still were better than what people were used to for that kind of makeup.
Roddy's case, it was just how he was portraying the character and how much of a different character he played than Cornelius.
Yep. Actually, you know what? That might have been mine as well. Legend of Hellhouse.
I remember that movie.
Yeah. Yep. That's another one I need to watch again. I haven't seen that for years.
It's a great time.
Yep.
This one I had to track down because I saw the first one, the new one, and I hadn't seen the sequel, so it was just like, well, this is pretty much just Conquest of the Planet of the Apes remade. It's like, what? What the heck is that? So I had to go.
Yeah, this is the one. It's odd that this is the one they went for, but I suppose
because I was sitting there like, why would they remake the fourth one if they're gonna to do it? But it's true. They kind of went with the official start point of the series.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because it's funny that the first movie is actually like the middle. That's some George Lucas numbering right there. But
yeah. This is like really cheap, but it tries to do more than Escape did.
Yeah,
and it tries to make it look like the future of 1991, I believe it is, the future world of 1991, which I think they do really well. It's got a nice dystopian quality to it, just by really simple costume design. Everybody that's wearing black and grey, and everything about it's grey, apart from the jumpsuits that the apes wear. Which really makes them stand out. I really like this one. If you watched both endings,
I don't remember if I did or not.
Because when they made this at first, initial kind of like when they have the test previews, the initial kind of feedback was the ending was too dark. It was too much for people.
Sure.
Because at the end, it's a case of he gives this big speech about how the apes are going to take over now, and this kind of stuff. And then the apes have all got their guns, and they've got the governor there, the human governor, and they all go, and then they pummel him to death with the guns. They didn't reshoot it because they couldn't afford to, but they rewrote it so that he stops and then he starts to say, but we will live together. He begins to become a more optimistic ending. And they reversed the footage of the guns going back a wee bit so they don't bludgeon the guy to death. Sort of thing.
That might have been the one I saw.
That's the official one, because that's the one that leads into the sequel. So that's the one that was released.
Sure.
So you can kind of see why they didn't, because at the very end, it's a very bleak ending to this film. Because it's quite a violent film.
Yeah, I would have changed Caesar for sure.
Totally, yeah.
Made him a villain.
So what they do is you see this extreme close-ups of Roddy McDowell's eyes, and his eyes are brilliant. I never have thought anything about it for years until I found out that there was another cut. So he's extreme close-ups of the eyes because we wouldn't have the mouth moving in time with the new dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
And it cut away to different shots just to soften the blow. So instead of becoming this very kind of dark, we're taking over ending, it became this, we can rebuild together, which would lead into the next movie.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is kind of my next favorite after the original.
Yeah, this is for what they. I mean, I think they created a set of rules. The most important thing is they created a set of rules for themselves in this movie, and they didn't break them. Which I mean, that goes a long way in consistency wise to taking yourself nice and seriously, and not without being totally too serious about yourself, and then just like not turning back on yourself. They kind of just stayed on one through line with this, which I appreciated when I watched it.
Yeah, and it has a scene where the governor hands him the book and lets him choose his own name, and he opens the book and he just goes straight to the word Caesar, and he kind of looks up at the government and just glares at him.
No, I don't want that one. No, thank you. Can't have that one. Not that.
And it's like, oh, he means business. But yeah. So this was, again, directors for this. This was directed by J. Lee Thompson, or is it Lee J? It's J. Lee Thompson, isn't it? Who made The Guns of Navarone and the original Cape Fear. And he's, again, got a really interesting career. And one of these guys, they had these guys that made these big movies that were usually successful, but A movies, and then they ended up working on the kind of like the B movies like this.
Right, because they were reliable.
Yeah, they were reliable, but they also brought a little bit of class to it as well. They were able to make sure everything just looked more expensive and just looked better than it would if it was just been done just to make money. They had a little bit of kind of like, they didn't want to be releasing crap into the world, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he was basing this a lot on what was happening with you were saying the riots and so on at the time, and the sort of like. Even if you watch it, there's almost a kind of handheld quality to some of the work in it. So it's almost documentary-like in the way that he's filming it. At the same time, it's very stylized with other shots. It's a very interesting film to watch. I think there's a lot in this film that people critics especially, just ignore or don't want to see.
Well, these movies are usually like bound for critic fodder anywais. Sci-fi and horror typically don't get the time of day. Or comedy, really, for that matter. No,
definitely. Critics aren't really worth that much. There's probably half a dozen critics in the past, since cinema started, that you're probably worth reading. I mean, nowadays we're in the Rotten Tomatoes era where everybody's a critic, and no, you're not. J. Lee Thompson. Yes, I wonder he didn't try and get Bronson into it. Yeah, that was just after this. He started making Charles Bronson movies quite soon after the Apes movies. Fairly good Charles Bronson movies for Canon, right? So says a lot.
Death Wish, stuff like that.
He made. I think it was a Death Wish 4 or Death Wish 5 he made. But he made 10 to Midnight, which is a good Charles Bronson meets a slasher movie hybrid, and he made Messenger of Death, I think, which is actually not as bad as it sounds. It's a kind of like I think it was originally a TV movie, but it was released in the cinema. And
I feel like Canon Pictures needs to be an episode.
It could be, yeah. He made Kinji 2, the Forbidden, whatever it is. I can't remember, the Forbidden Passions or something.
Right.
He made some very dodgy ones with Charles Bronson, but they're all worth watching.
Sure.
This is a terrific film. Again, fourth in a series with diminishing returns, and just made for about probably a couple of $1 million at the time, which wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
So same director. Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Battle for the Planet of the Apes. Look at that. What's going on there?
They couldn't. They didn't have the budget for that kind of a movie in that poster.
No, not at all. Not at all. You see, it was released as a double bill with Conquest as well. They did that with a lot of them.
I like that belt
double bills. St. Ives. That was our first one together. That's right. And White Buffalo. Right. Cheers, Pete. I thought this wasn't great. Right, I remember liking it as a kid, and then seeing it and thinking that's not great. Watched it this week. I have decided that this is actually much better than it's given credit for being, and I liked it quite a bit when I watched it again.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. I just think this is at that point where they're really running out of ideas. They didn't have a lot of. There was a lot of sitting there arguing about like stuff like race and things. I think they were trying to be. It's like we don't have the budget. We got to try to say something.
Yeah, I think so.
The mileage is going to vary between people that watch it, whether or not that was a success.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of like the apes, the gorillas saying, we need to smash them all down. They're worth nothing. And, like being very like Nazi-like.
Yeah.
But
I really enjoyed that this time. I don't know. Maybe it's just if I'm getting older or whatever. I don't know. But I
substance in your movies.
Yeah. I enjoyed the cartoonish quality of a lot of the characters. I enjoyed Paul Williams is in it as he plays an orangutan who's incredibly intelligent and knows all about science and everything else, and he's quite good fun. And like a lot of these films, it's about how the apes and humans are going to be living together, and how's things going to work out, but then everything gets really, really dark. And it ends in a kind of like a note that it's going to lead right into the Charlton Heston film eventually, and like you say, we're going to end up with the world being blown up. But it's again, it's in this cyclical thing. It's never going to end, is it? Because it makes your head go.
Which is why I kind of wish more series would do that. I mean, just it's a little gimmicky, and the only other one that I know of that did it was Final Destination.
Yeah, again, I need to get those watched. We need to do a show on those just to force me to sit down and watch them.
But I mean, like that was a very cyclical series too. But it's nice because it makes it so you can't make any more, and it preserves what's already been there. So if you're actually able to get 4 or 5 decent movies out, make that a circle, its own timeline, push it to the side, and do something else, which is exactly what Planet of the Apes did. This is no Halloween situation.
No,
we screwed up. Start over.
No, these are films that you could actually write a book about, quite easily if you were a serious film critic, and have a lot of fun threading them all together and trying to work out exactly what was happening with the zeitgeist, at that time, and how they all kind of like worked.
I suppose that that this series here, like, not only did it set up a huge kind of thing for franchises and kind of continue that tradition that Universal had set in with, like, just continuing on these big massive franchises, but hello, what happened? Still there? Oh, he's having difficulties. I'll keep on going. It kept that tradition of just kind of taking those little threads out. Oh my gosh, I'm big now. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it did not start over like Halloween did, where it was just like, we screwed up, let's start over. Halloween was really bad for that. If you haven't seen our episode on Halloween that we did last time, go have a look at that after this is done, or at your convenience, because the slashers themselves were pretty good at doing this too. I think they kind of carried on that tradition, at least in Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, where they just take this little thread and then they'd continue on with that little bit and keep on going. You're back.
You know what? Seriously, it didn't crash this time. It just wouldn't let me have any audio. Did you hear me talking at all when I was?
No, you went, and then you.
And then I was going, that was probably the most profound thing I've ever said about Planet of the Apes, and I can't even remember what I said now.
No.
It said that my audio cord was, had been unplugged,
Weird.
So I checked, and it wasn't.
Okay.
So I came out and I came in, it still wasn't working, so I thought I'm going to have to bail and come back again.
I just restarted my brain and kept on going.
Brilliant. Thank you, man. You did good at
that. So I think we got that last one kind of covered as far as it was okay.
Yeah, well, it's got imagery and stuff in it that's interesting. It was written by the couple that wrote Omega Man, but Paul Den, the main writer who came back, he added the statue, the lawgiver statue at the end, sort of like crying, which made no sense whatsoever. But
the time do you like that Madonna?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It is what it is, but it's got men dressed as monkeys fighting in a tree. That's enough of a reason to watch this movie, if you ask me. That's good enough.
That's a Saturday night.
Exactly. So it's what it is. But these films were so successful that they kind of like, when they started showing the TV, they ended up bringing them out in the cinema again and releasing them, and there was a wee bit of like an earner for Warner Brothers, not for Warner Brothers, for 20th Century Fox. Mm-hmm. So of course you end up going on to TV, don't you? That's the law of diminishing returns. You end up with a TV show.
Is this just one season?
It was just one season, I think. It wasn't about 13 episodes or so.
Makes sense.
but it was. It did have Spock's father. Mark Leonard was Urko, the gorilla, He was great. And of course, it's Roddy McDowall and Starsky and Hutch. Or Dukes of Hazzard. You take your pick, because for some strange reason, American shows in the 1970s had to have a blonde guy and a dark-haired guy as the leads. I have no idea what that was about. But I do recognise these guys, but yeah. I remember I've seen the TV show, I think, all the way through once, and it's okay.
I've never seen it.
They took some of the episodes and they would splice them together and release them as movies as well. I think they do that, like release them abroad. It's like over here we used to get like American TV shows like stuck together and released as if they were cinematic.
James Naughton and Ron Harper.
Oh, what were they in?
Let's see here. We got career. James Naughton was...
Is he the blonde one?
He's the dark-haired one. Okay,
the dark-haired one.
Yep, so he's in Planet of the Apes, Making the Grade, Trauma Center, Raising Miranda, Brooklyn Bridge, the Cosby Mysteries. Wow, isn't that relevant now?
Wow. Yeah.
Cagney and Lacey, Damages with Plain Clothes. So he's still working, or was as of 2002, 2003. He did die in 2013. Wait, Pam. No, that's his wife. Died in 2013 of cancer, something like that.
Right. Let's just get depressed. What about the other guy?
Yeah. So, and then the other guy, Ron Harper.
I know that name.
Let's see here. He appeared in soap operas. He did a lot of that. Where the Heart Is, Love of Life, Odd Couple 2, the movie, Below Utopia. Not much. Land of the Lost, the third season of Land of the Lost.
No, I'm thinking Roy Harper for the Green Arrow. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
he became a soap opera star, it looks like, for a while. Yeah. So,
but it does have a great opening title sequence. Music by Lalo Schifrin, where he takes the kind of Jerry Goldsmith stuff and kind of like makes it a bit more kind of like jazzy TV kind of sounding. So it's worth a look. If it turns up on a TV channel or so, and you sit and watch an episode, it's kind of like his bog standard 1970s TV,
Pete, to answer your question, no, I hadn't read the comic myself. I don't know about you. Wullie.
Yeah, I had them all. Don't know why I don't have them now, but yeah. It was a Marvel one. It was a reprint of all the American Marvel comics. We'll get there. We're getting there in a second.
IDW picked them up. I mean, a little bit later, but
yeah, I wish I'd picked up those books now, because they've got all the strips reprinted in those books, but they're quite pricey now to buy.
Yeah, it happens with licensed stuff.
Yeah, that's what I forgot. I forgot to do something. We'll talk about it as well.
Sure.
Anyway, I've not got these now, but I had these guys, quite a few of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Mego released all these characters when the TV show was out, and I would go into Goldberg's, which was a department store in Glasgow, of a Saturday with my mother, and I managed to get the blonde guy. That's not Ron Harper or this other guy.
Yep.
I managed to get him. I managed to get the gorilla and Urkel, the general, and the Roddy McDowall character, and Zeus as well. So
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I got all them. They were great fun. But yeah, like I say, this was the first Star Wars. There's all this fantastic merchandise. Look at them; they're much better than Star Wars figures. Look at shoes and everything.
They didn't do a lot of merchandising before.
No, they didn't. No,
taken seriously.
I also had like a projector that would play like strips of like blown up strips of cells from the animated show, which was this one, Return of the Planet of the Apes, or Return to the Planet of the Apes, which is this is worth tracking down and watching some of on YouTube.
I recognize some of that art. That's Doug Wildley, isn't it?
It looks like it, yeah.
Johnny Quest type stuff.
It's got that kind of feel. The two guys in it have got very tight pants. It's like I was watching one of them, and there's one scene where it's almost like they're disco dancing when they're in a kind of like in the middle of this storm, and it's like, what were they thinking of? It's weird. It's got everything
like Johnny Quest.
Yeah, everything in the movies meets Johnny Quest. It's exactly what it's like. Very, very limited animation, but it's bonkers. And again, it's only like a very short season. It's worth checking. It's got some interesting opening titles and stuff.
Feels like a Lost Venture Brothers episode.
Yeah. But it's a curio, that's what it is. But here we go. Go. So what Pete was talking about there, here's a selection of some of the Planet of the Apes comics that Marvel did. Now, they did a black and white kind of like
Conquest
magazine.
Cover.
What was that?
I like that Conquest one, the fiery final chapter. That's
yeah. They didn't hold back. They were like
some pretty covers. I like those covers. The horseback one was cool too.
Yeah, they were great. They would release them in black and white, the magazine format, and then they would have like color reprints of them as well in the Adventures of Planet Apes.
I love black and white, getting to see the line art.
Black and white is the best. It's the best way to see these, and it's the way we saw them with the Planet of the Apes comic was released weekly, around about the same time as Dracula Lives, and then eventually they were combined together. When sales would get low on a comic in the UK, what they would do is they would combine it with another comic that sold better. And they would phase that comic out by doing that and maybe keep the better strips from it. So Dracula Lives became Planet of the Apes and Dracula Lives.
What a great title.
But then that was it. You were getting the best things. You were getting a comic that gave us Planet of the Apes, the Wolfman and Cole and Dracula, and Man Thing all in one comic every week. So that was, come on, that's bliss.
I think the only comic that I didn't have the best time with in black and white was Green Lantern, when they did like the Showcase Presents, because you couldn't tell what was going on with his ring.
Yeah, right.
Rely on like the dialogue where it's like, oh, he's using that thing to douse me in water.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Green Lantern is very nature of his color. Yeah, definitely.
But otherwise, reading like Weird War Tales, Tales from the Unexpected, Strange Adventures, Jonah Hex, Ghosts, House Mystery, that kind of thing, perfect.
It is. I've got all the Tomb of Dracula essentials as well.
Oh yeah, I got the first. I used to have them all, but I still have the first one now. I think I got rid of the other two.
Yeah, they just look better in black and white.
Absolutely.
But yeah, this was Marvel. George Tuschka. You can see the difference between the black and white and the color one. Both look good. But he did the first Planet of the Apes, and they didn't. Sometimes when you see them doing adaptations, they will give us. I don't know, their B team. They put the B team on it sometimes, not so much with big titles.
Comics thing.
Yeah, but it was all great artists who had worked in this. Look at this from.
Oh yeah,
this is for Battle. This is a better image than anything in the movie. It's Alfredo Alcala. It's fantastic stuff. And what they did with Marvel was when they'd finished doing the movie adaptations, they did their own stories, and they had brilliant artists working on them. So you get Mike Plug and Tom Sutton working on Planet of the Apes comics, and just with Doug Minch writing them, they were just taking them to completely different places, and they were allowed to do that, which was great. I
have to wonder what the speed of these things created was. Some guys can whip this kind of thing up really fast. They just know where to put the lines.
Yeah, I'm thinking because it was monthly, and I think they maybe jumped between them. So you get a couple of months with Tom Sutton, and then it would change to somebody else. You maybe get Mike Plug, so they would kind of do that kind of thing.
But always on time.
Yeah, always on time. And if they went on time, they would just give it to Vince Coletta to sort out something like that. But it just made everybody got the comics. But one thing I've not included here was in the UK one, when they ran out of strips, they took Killraven strips and they redrew them.
Oh, they just had stock stories and they messed with them?
Yeah, so they redrew them as ape stories. It was instead of Killraven, it was Ape Slayer, I believe it was.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to just Google that in case my mind is playing tricks on me. I don't think so. Yes, that's exactly what they did. It was I'm going to get an image of this and show it to you.
Sure.
That is such a small image. I'll get a bigger one, and we'll share it. Yeah, what they just took other stories and changed them. Oh, here we go. That's cool. Oh no, it's not cool. It's Pinterest. That's not cool at all. Here's a website. I'll share this website. Here we go. I knew, even at the time, I knew there was something up here. you just kind of felt it, didn't you, when you were like reading a comic and they were like reconstituting an old story or something like that. You were kind of like, I know something's up here.
Well, I'm not used to hearing about them just straight up altering artwork, but I mean, I know they used to like create entire stories or issues just in case the artist was late and they could run that issue. Just putting it right in a like a little vault of things. But yeah.
Yeah, well, this is it here. So here you can see.
Oh, yeah.
Whoops, there you go. Whoops, that's not what I was going to do. Whoa, here we go. Magic mouse. So Killraven, War of the Worlds, Planet of the Apes, Cry Ape Slayer.
Right.
It's like what? You
Ape Slayer.
It's fantastic stuff. So
That's
I'm looking
hilarious.
at if they've got.
Yeah, they just darkened her.
There you go. So they just turned that guy into an ape.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
It is good, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
It's well done, but it's so obvious. It's like even reading that as a kid, I'm like, this isn't right. This is like Killraven.
With the movie.
They've just taken Killraven's like stars away from him and
right.
Like darkened his hair, but they've left the supporting cast.
Yeah.
so yeah, that was a Ape Slayer. Ripe for reintroduction, I think, into the mythos in some way.
What do we got next? We got so we're on the comics. Now we gone to what is this? 2001.
Still on comics, because these I didn't have, and I wish I did. Power Comics did comic books with records. So the records had like actual radio kind of play type stories. They would tell you the story, and then you'd have the comic to go with it.
So this is a comic, not like a kid's book, like the Masters of the Universe line?
No, I think it's like an actual comic that comes with it. Or maybe it's a book. I don't know. I do know, because I'm reading up about them, that the book, they left out the end of the first Planet of the Apes because it was still out in the cinema when they released these.
Sure.
So they didn't want to spoil it for people. I don't know how it ended, but
That's good.
Interesting.
He just goes off into the forbidden zone.
Yeah, totally. I thought I didn't know there was, but I should have guessed, because I googled it because I thought to myself there had to be, and there was a Planet of the Apes manga.
Of course there was.
Of course there was, and it looks suitably cheap.
Is this 80s?
No, I think this is back then. I think this is back like in the late 60s into the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is back in the actual time. I think we're talking 70s manga.
Wow.
Doesn't look great though, does it? Let's
be honest. Looks about like the time.
Yeah, it looks about like the time, but yeah, not particularly good for the time.
Kind of around like the Tatsunoko and Ken the Eagle, stuff like that.
Yeah. Hey, wise guys.
Hi, wise guys.
Don't crash.
Exactly.
Right. I can't do two things at once. Okay. Take a deep breath.
Oh, but great cast. I'll say that about this movie. Great cast.
They are indeed a great cast.
What do you got there? You got Charlton Heston and Helena Bonham Carter and Mr. Orange. That's Tim Roth.
Tim Roth, yeah.
Yep. Good cast.
Yeah,
good makeup.
They're all great. Yeah, the makeup. Well, I don't know the Helena Bonham Carter makeup's a bit odd.
Right.
But I like the makeup. It's great.
Tim Roth looks great.
Yeah. And so does Charlton Heston. I mean, they've got a brilliant scene together. Terrific scene together. Marky Mark is in it. But,
yeah, he is.
And he kind of is still a wee bit Marky Mark in it, isn't he? He's
exactly Marky Mark in this.
So
what's going on? Why is everyone being an ape? Huh?
Yeah. He's got that Marky Mark. The look that he does, I mean, now he's pretty good in movies, but back then
I wish he would have made it now. He might have been. It might have been different. Yeah,
exactly. The look that he has in the movie this movie is kind of like the look he has in those ones that he makes with what's his name for Saturday Night Live, Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah,
the kind of the ones where they're like both two daddies or whatever it is. And you're like the comedy look he has. That's the same look he has in this when he's looking surprised in this movie.
Well, yeah, he's walking around like all these apes. So I'd be surprised.
Yeah, and it's all the way through the movie. It's always like, what the hell am I looking at?
People thinks it looks like this is the Halloween 3 of the Apes franchise.
Best film. Instant classic. Right, okay. He's trolling us. He's got it. If you're not trolling us, I'll drop you a link. Okay, just let me know, people, if you're not trolling us.
Also had like Kerry Hayarogi Degawa in it. Who, did a pretty decent. Well, he didn't have a ton to do, but I mean, he did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, I don't.
Doesn't look like a Tim Burton movie.
What's good about this movie?
I think every actor did the absolute best with what they could. I honestly do. I think they all gave it 100%. I'm not sure what it's been a while since I've seen it, but what it was that was wrong with it. I can't 100% put my finger on or something.
Okay, I'll help you here.
You help me out.
Everything.
Long time. I haven't seen this one for a long time.
It was. I watched it once all the way through, and I can't watch it again.
I couldn't either, but I mean, I just remember thinking like, well, I mean, they did their hardest.
The humans are too clean and
maybe that's it. Cut the humans out.
Yeah, and they're kind of like they're. You know how like in the first Tim Burton Batman you have almost a kind of like there's a little layer of respectable big budget quality that the studio was imposed on it. Mm-hmm. That's what the humans are like in this. I think it's like take them out of it completely. And you could maybe have a good movie with this cast and story, but
sure.
None of the character stuff works. The only character that kind of works
is a problem.
It's Charlton Heston. I think it's the only character that works. He's only got like one major scene, but he's good in it. And again, I think it's the acting. It's him and Tim Roth that make it work. Yes, he was trolling as well. He was trolling us as well. Brilliant. I know. I really would like to reappraise this movie and say it's a masterpiece or whatever, but it's not.
I've got all the Planet of the Apes movies except for this one.
Yeah, I've got it on DVD.
Okay,
but I've never upgraded it because
the completist of me wants to get it, but at the same time, the other half of me says I'll never watch it again. It'll just be there to have.
Yeah, it's one of these things where they make a movie. They were proposing to do a sequel and everything, and they never did. So it's now just sort of lying there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick Baker, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
Which is why they look good.
And the whole kind of samurai design, the kind of like the fighting monkeys on his chest plate, everything's really, really cool. Apart from that, Helena Bonham Carter, which is just kind of weird.
That had to have been a studio thing, like, or Tim Burton, maybe just like make it really look feminine, like a girl. Like we want a sexy ape. It's like what? Yeah. Style up her hair a bit too.
Just not right. It looks almost like they did an ape-human hybrid test for Beneath the Planet of the Apes because that was one of the ideas they had for it. That was really going to go a different route. And she looks a bit like their test for the ape-human hybrid from that film.
A little bit. That being said, Heston doesn't exactly look like a monkey. I mean, or like an ape as much, but Roth.
Yeah, he does. I think that's something that's wrong with the movie. I know the makeup's really good, but there's not a consistency to it the way there is in the original.
I think Degawa had some good makeup too as a gorilla.
Yeah.
But poor Pete.
Yeah. Shame.
So get yourself a projector. You can fix it.
Yeah.
They may sell them pretty cheap now too.
Yeah, they do.
I've seen some maybe a couple $100 that have Roku built into them in their 1080.
Yep. I don't know what to say about this anymore. The ending. The ending, right?
Oh,
with the lovely Lincoln. Yeah. So no, even before that, you're having this mental apes battle, right? With humans and apes, and they're all fighting, and you're thinking, okay, it's not been a great film, but at least we're getting a mental battle at the end. Mm-hmm. And then they set up this a monkey arrives. Like from the very beginning of the film, this is a monkey that was like in a spaceship, right? Sort of like back on Earth, before Marky Mark goes into the future or wherever he goes in his spaceship. Because I think this film is very much about alternate realities and not really about time travel.
For sure.
There's no way that this world, anything evolved from our world in this world. It's just no way. So at the very end, the
took it over and then like ripped down Lincoln's statue and put theirs up.
Yeah, but I don't know. I can't work it out. Because this spaceship arrives, it stops the battle, and then the wee monkey's in there, and the apes all think it's the monkey god. And it's Marky Mark's monkey. And it's like that, at that point, that's like a joke from Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Is the major ending, or the first major ending of this film that just goes on far too long after that.
Sure.
And it then goes on to like Marky Mark going back in the spaceship and flying off. Now everything's fine now, everybody's happy, and all the warring apes have decided, hey, let's all live together, and Marky Mark's got this really hot blonde and a kind of furry bikini and everything, but he decides to leave anyway. It's like I can't fathom it. For one thing, I don't think the real Marky Mark would have done that. No. And then he flies through about the black hole or whatever it is up in the sky, and ends in modern day Washington, but everybody's apes.
Right.
And that's that. And you just kind of go, okay, that if that becomes another movie, we'll find out what it's all about, and it might be cool and interesting.
I think this was a weird point in Burton's career, though, too. It was like it's like a transition, because you had the 90s where he did Pee-wee with like the really bright colors and stuff, but then he went kind of towards that like leafless tree in the dark and the snow kind of thing for like Edward Scissorhands and
everything's set bound as well. It's all set bound, and even the exteriors are all set bound.
Yep. Then he did this. Then he went into. He seems to have a weird pattern of doing like a really kind of colorless, bleak movie, and then an oversaturated color, like movie. So he'll do like Pee-wee, then he'll do Batman, then he'll do Edward Scissorhands, which is kind of a half and half, and then he'll do. He's done Big Fish. He's done the Alice movies, Ed Wood. Like, he has a weird kind of like up and down, and this must have been kind of that down.
Yeah, I don't know what we're thinking about here. It's the kind of film that it needed a sequel to salvage it, because the sequel would then have made sense of the ending. But I honestly think it's the worst film that Tim Burton made. It's the worst of the Planet of the Apes films, definitely by far.
You think it's the worst film that he made?
I think it's the worst film Tim Burton's ever made. Yeah.
What about Dark Shadows?
That's quite good fun. At least enjoy. Some funny bits in that. I was going to say
that one really tanked.
Yeah, but I quite enjoyed it.
Okay.
I've got no real connection to the original Dark Shadows or anything like that.
Okay.
I didn't see them at the time. I saw one of the movies, like I think when I was a kid on TV. But I actually didn't mind Dark Shadows, the movie. I thought it was quite funny.
Okay.
Yeah,
that might be because it made a lot of like longtime fans very angry, from what I understand. So without that connection, it could have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think so. Because I suppose it's the other way around with me. I'm a long time sort of like Planet Apes fan, and this did not do it for me at all.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I was very, 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 very wary when I went into this.
I went with this with totally open mind, because this was the first. Yeah, I got this, and I saw it on a little projector I had, because I got the bigger one, but this one was a smaller one, so that helped a little bit, making it like I'll say John Lithgow was the standout. In this movie for me. Holy cow, what acting that he did. He spends so much time being like a crazy person, like Buckaroo Banzai or something like that. Yeah. That you really forget that he can just act. Yeah,
he was brilliant. Because John Lithgow to me is two characters I have in my head are the bad guy from Cliffhanger. And Third Rock from the Sun. So that's my two John Lithgows. So I'm willing to take him in any role. He's a really good actor. He's incredible.
When I showed my wife Third Rock from the Sun, she was shocked because she watched Dexter, and and he was a serial killer in there.
Yep.
And she did not recognize him at first, like watching, and he's all jumping around, being super goofy. Oh, I'm gorgeous, stuff like that. And she was shocked at how different he could, play himself. And it's a testament. I think he's really he's beloved, but he's a little underrated because nobody really talks about
totally
him.
underrated. He's an incredible actor. Raising Cain as well. I watched that a few months ago again.
Oh yeah,
he's terrific in it.
Yeah, and Franco's just playing Franco. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was a needless backstory. I agree with that part.
Yeah, It's still, I don't have as much of a connection to. I actually think the first Willy Wonka film is pretty crap as well. The one with
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
It's like a slasher movie.
Yeah, I mean, even as a kid, I didn't think much about it. So it didn't bother me either. you see how I think. If I don't really care about the franchise,
it's a movie with Christopher Lee in it that you'd just be like, well, the remake.
Yeah, don't care. Right. Put dinosaurs in it, I might enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I went and I was really kind of wary about this. James Franco, CG monkeys, set in the modern day. I thought, it's going to just be kind of like cutting corners and stuff. But it didn't. Right. It's really good. Yeah, sets up an entire new trilogy, which is brilliant.
Very Shakespearean.
Yeah.
The whole thing, the whole arc, yeah.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it because I was just wondering about the CG, and it still stands up.
It gets better through the series.
Yeah. I mean, it gets better as the series goes on, but even the first film still stands up. It's still really good because it's so well acted.
They have a little trouble with the hair, I think, which, I mean, there have been leaps and strides thanks to stuff like Brave in creating like lifelike hair and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's not terrible when really when you stand it up in high definition, that's when the test really happens. That's when the CGI really glares and looks terrible. But this certainly tell it's CGI, but I think thanks to the performance behind it, you just kind of like let it go. It's almost like seeing somebody with a ton of latex on their face, and you're like, I know it's a crappy mask, but I'm just gonna. Just like Battle, when you notice half the masks are just masks. That's
it. It's, you get to that point where you suspend your disbelief because they've pretty much done as good a job as anybody could do.
Sure.
So it's up to you to allow them that leeway and suspend your disbelief. Because I mean, I would love to see this movie remade just with stop motion animation just to see what it was like. It'd be brilliant. But the CG is. I think it's the first film I saw with CG acting that I thought this is terrific.
Well, just like with Conquest, I like the arc that Caesar had in this, going from very like docile and very kind and stuff to like, okay, I'm going to go take care of my people. There's a series of bad events and misunderstandings that happened that, and that carries all the way through this trilogy. Like, it's a heck of a like major arc.
Yeah.
He's got little arcs that happen in each movie and then one huge arc that happens from 1 to 3. So,
yeah. I mean, this one introduces Andy Serkis becomes Caesar, and he carries on with the character into the next 2 movies. And kind of like Roddy McDowall, you think of them as characters. You don't, because the actor imbues them with such personality. This is one of these cases where they've restarted a series and done a really good job of it. So.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to the cinema to see this. I got it when it was out on DVD. Because I thought I'm not paying money to go and see a rip-off for Planet of the Apes. And then I watched it and went, wow, that's really good. So I made sure to go to see the next one.
Oh, speaking of Gary Oldman and that Koba scene right there where he was with the gun. My goodness, talk about tense.
Brilliant.
Beautiful scene.
Just that character is a brilliant idea.
Koba was amazing. Yeah.
He doesn't. Ape must not kill ape. We haven't even mentioned that. That's the tenet that runs through the whole series of from the original to this. Ape, must not or will not kill ape. And Koba kind of like he finds a way around that.
Yeah, and he starts instigating war and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and it's got everything you would want. The original is done differently, of course. Apes with guns on horseback. It's all there.
It's got a lot of different stuff to think about. Whereas the first one's had like racism and segregation and stuff like this. Has got a lot of different stuff to think about. And like I said, it's very Shakespearean, like almost like a Caesar. Like your friends are all plotting behind you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing to destroy you for what they want. Very political. I mean, but see, this is the nice thing about this is like, people talk about not wanting politics in their movies, just having their own set of politics. I'm all for that. Like, they okay. having like their own like contained set of politics is great for them to argue over. That's not like real world stuff. I like that just fine. In this case, it is a very contained set of politics. Like, what do we do with our people? Well, I think we should go to war. No, we shouldn't go to war.
You want a kind of universal look at politics. Like this series of films is really good at this because regardless of what side of the political fence you're on, or if you're in the middle, there's tons in here that will have you thinking.
Oh yeah.
I think the original films are like that as well. So nobody's
very
excluded
vague
from
stuff.
the conversation, which is great. What's great about them.
Super vague stuff that you can apply to a lot of things in real life, but it's not based on a single thing in real life, which is good.
But at its heart, apes and war paint on horses with machine guns.
So good. Such a great visual. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And they've even got like a brilliant sort of like a slow motion kind of scene as well in it as well, which was obviously done for the 3D, for anyone who saw it in 3D.
And the cool thing about this is you've got the villains there's two villains in each of these movies, and they juggle it well. There's the human villain, so there's a Gary Oldman, and then there's Koba. And then each one kind of looking out for their own. They're like Magnetos, you know what I mean? Like they're looking out for their own people, but they're doing horrible stuff to do that. Kind of the ends justify the means characters.
Yeah.
And then you've got like Caesar, and then the other guy, I can't remember his name, the one that kind of keeps on going back to the ape thing here. Joel. Is it,
can't remember his name.
Don. That was Matt Reeves. Oh no, Jason Clarke. Yeah,
Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke. Yeah. So Jason Clarke being like and Caesar being the peacemakers, the guys trying to work it all out. And you've got like Koba and the other guy. They're obviously basically agreeing in their opposite way, and then the other one's working together, but it's just never going to work out because not everybody's going to be on the same page. Yeah, I like that. It's great conflict within conflict.
What's really good about these films as well was the villains. The human villains you can understand where they're coming from. In all the movies, I suppose. Well, maybe not so much the first one. Rise of Planet of the Apes are quite cartoonish and sort of like animal cruelty and all that kind of stuff. But this one and the next one as well, you can see that you understand their pain and where they're coming from as characters. It's really good.
Definitely. Kobo being abused all his life. He's got no reason to like people.
No, not at all. And you know that kind of like he's also just slightly
deranged,
unhinged.
Yeah.
It's just like,
absolutely.
Even if he did have a good life, he still would end up probably doing the stuff he's doing.
Yeah.
And it's got that whole ape must not kill ape as well. So it ends with this terrific fight between him and Caesar.
Oh yes.
And he begs for his life by pretty much saying, ape must not kill ape. That's kind of like and Caesar just lets him fall to his death after saying, "You're not an ape."
Exactly.
It's like, and you're like, wow.
And it wasn't just a battle between them. It was like literally a battle between viewpoints.
It was.
If I'm allowed to survive, we're going to war. That was awesome.
Yeah. So it's a terrific movie. It's well worth watching again. I have kind of like a nostalgia for the originals. So if I was to start ranking them, I would put a couple of the original films above these.
Just makes you want to go watch them, right?
Yeah. But I can totally see why people would put this as their favorite Apes movie. I can totally see why they would do that. It's
more coherent, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. In fact, this is as a series, it's a lot more coherent.
I love that poster.
It's good, isn't it?
It's a beautiful poster.
Worf, again, I would see this in the cinema because after the second one, you're like, this is a cinematic event.
I love that ape there, the crazy one.
Bad ape.
Bad ape.
Bad ape. Yeah, that was pretty funny. An ape that learned how to speak, people would call it Bad Ape. So, okay, that's his name, Bad Ape.
Oh, yeah. He was almost like the conduit to the audience. Like, what the heck's going on? Huh?
Exactly. And he added a bit of comic relief because this is not a funny movie. This is a dark movie.
Oh, yeah. This one especially. And Woody Harrelson did a great job as the villain, like the sympathetic kind of villain.
It's a wonderful ape.
Merry Christmas, Ape Village!
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, sorry, what you saying there, Statto?
What was I saying?
I don't know.
Woody Harrelson did a great job as having a villain with a straight motivation for, with the disease turning you basically stupid, and him realizing like this has to have a lid on it, even though he was told not to go near it, he's seeing like this is a big disease and this is going to end us.
Yep.
But then at the same time, he's a horrible person.
Horrible person.
Yeah.
What was cool about that as well was it gives you an idea for why, because the apes in the first Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston the humans couldn't speak.
Right.
There was no real reason given for that. I think it was just a kind of red herring so that we wouldn't know they was on Earth. The apes in this world.
It's a great explanation for that. Yeah.
Yeah. But this gives you a terrific explanation for it. So you can't look at these as if they do link into the originals if you wanted to. And the fact that they're
do
not
a little finessing.
A wee bit of finessing, but then again, with all the time travel stuff in the original ones, I think you could do it. You could make it work.
You could substitute the first of this series with Conquest.
Yeah,
because they're dang near the same thing, and then you could actually erase Conquest in battle, and then put this trilogy at the end. And it would make some sense.
You could, yeah.
Because now that Disney owns this series, I have to wonder.
Why did you have to remind us?
I have to, man. Now that they own the series, I have to wonder if they're going to try to do a Cornelius trilogy.
No, they're going to look at this image I've got on screen. They're going to look at Bad Ape and they're going to think, Baby Yoda. That's what they're going to do.
You've been talking to Charlie too much.
That's what they're going to do. Oh God, no! They will ruin it. Everything Disney touches,
and they might not touch it again. Actually, no. I heard. Let's see. What did I hear? They're going to do another Alien, and maybe they're going to develop another one of these. I'm not 100% sure because you know how things change from minute to minute.
Yeah.
These days, but I wish they'd just leave it alone. This is
Disney, but now they're everything, and that's no good at all.
This tied everything up, and it ended great. I hope they leave it alone.
Yeah,
that's just me.
Yeah, but this is a brilliant movie. It's incredibly dark.
Oh yeah,
it does. When they kill people off that were in the movie, and it's the old kind of like. He spends a movie, you get your hero, like whether it's Charles Bronson or whoever it is, it's probably Liam Neeson. It'll be Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
And he rescues his daughter, he saves his wife, all this kind of stuff, and then they kill them off in another movie. And that sets them off, because they run out of ideas. Usually when they kill off characters from previous movies, it spoils it for me because it's just a catalyst because you've run out of ideas.
Yep.
This does it brilliantly because Caesar is in such a low point for most of this movie. It's almost
you don't blame him because he's held out optimism for the
exactly. So it's almost like how's he going to find, pardon the pun, his humanity again?
Struggling with his racisms and his stuff. Which it's like one of those things where every human he's met kind of stabbed him in the back. So it's really hard not to identify and say, yeah, you know what, they are horrible. when that's not true. They're not all the same.
No, they're not. But it did remind me of the Outlaw Josie Wales when I was watching it. Because it's kind of similar to the Outlaw Josie Wales, which is, as we all know, one of the greatest westerns ever made. Because he gets his humanity back from the people around him, and that kind of works on Caesar as well here. And it's got a brilliant scene where he gets saved by the ape who's working with the bad humans. I can't remember his name now. The big ginger ape.
Gorilla?
Yeah, and Big Gorilla.
Yeah.
And he saves Caesar's life in this scene, and knowing that he's going to end up dead after he does so. But it's just all kind of like
heavy drama.
It's heavy drama, but it's melodrama as well. It's done to a point where it's just over the top enough to make it fun at the same time as making it deep. So yeah, again, I can see why people would put this one up at the top of their list if they were going to rank them.
To me, this felt a lot like, say, like a European comic like Black Sad, where it was like, they wanted to tell a war story, but they wanted to do something a little different. The artists really like drawing monkeys or apes and stuff, so they did it that way. There's no real reason to, other than just a stylistic choice. And it could have worked as a war story with humans and stuff like that, but they did it differently. So this feels a lot like something like that, which I really liked.
Yeah, it does. And again, to me as well, it felt like a revenge western. I was seeing lots of that kind of stuff in it. But I'm kind of hoping it's the last one. And if they do another one at Disney, they just reboot it and do their own thing, and then I can ignore it.
I don't know. I feel like if Disney were to do it again, they would probably continue on, like I said, like a Cornelius trilogy, maybe remake the Heston one.
Yeah.
And then just kind of go on with that. Maybe they even get Matt Reeves back.
I mean, who would be Charlton Heston? Even James Franciscus. I mean,
it'd be whatever the flavor of the day is. I think as
they
far
could
as
get Marky Mark again. He's a bit more macho these days,
right? But I mean, I don't think so. I think they'd go skew a little bit younger so they could stretch them out through the series or something like that. Somebody in their late 20s, early 30s.
They could have done it a bit.
Get Henry Cavill.
He'd actually be a pretty good gorilla.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'd see him as a gorilla. Yeah, I think they've missed it. I know. Go back a bit 20 years and get Denzel. He'd have been good. Something like that.
I don't know, but with COVID and stuff like that, like it's going to slow things down considerably. So we might not even if they got one in development now, we might not even see one until like 2024.
It's the one they could do though, because the majority of the film could be done in camera and CG. So
I think the only way they could make it really work is if they got Reeves back.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or just get Andy Serkis back anyway. At least he can ground it.
Reeves and Serkis, but I mean, like, he could do that because I mean, like Cornelius and Caesar were both played by McDowell, anyways.
Yeah,
just change the CG face.
Oh God, no! That's what they'll do. They'll bring back Charlton Heston, but they'll do it with CG. Oh God, no!
No, I don't think so. I don't know that his estate would allow that if he has one.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I wouldn't put it past him. The face mapping stuff has been getting crazy, even just by regular people. Some of the stuff you see on YouTube.
Yeah.
But this. So I mean, I watched this one, and then I watched the second one, and then I went and watched the original 6 again, and then I watched the third one, and that capped it all off very nicely for me. I think they had two really good franchises and a dud in the middle. It was just the wrong time to do it.
Yeah, and I'm being fair. I'm being particularly cruel about the Tim Burton one.
It's just it didn't really work.
Yeah, it just didn't work. It's
they didn't do anything too different, and they didn't do anything. It felt like they just had a huge check and they threw a ton of money at it, hoping people would just really cash in on the makeup. Which again, beautiful, but
I think
I was a lot to say.
Extra disappointed because it's a film. You look at the cast, you're like, who's in this? Charlton Heston, Chris Christopherson. I'm bound to like this, and then it's it can go two ways. It can either be genius or it can not be genius, and it wasn't genius. But,
that's probably true. They could do like a Lion King and build the whole thing CGI from the get.
Yeah, I know what you mean with that, Peeps, but I don't know. Most of the animators working in CG I think they need the actor's performance for the moment. I think that's what's good about these two movies is you can see them actually performing it in the moment.
Of course, they might not even need Serkis because I mean, there's he was the pioneer, but there are a lot more motion capture actors now than there were when he kind of really started doing it in Lord of the Rings.
That's it. He's trained them all up.
Oh yeah, he's trained the people to kill him.
He's done all right at that though.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. You should have seen him as Golem. But yeah. Okay, that's us then. That's all the apes. Did I miss anything?
No.
No, that was
I
pretty
can think
thorough.
of aside from, like I said, the IDW comics, but
there's
the license
Boom,
long.
the IDW, or the reprints, and there's Boom as well had a series, and there was another one that was out. There was a kind of I can't remember the name of it, and a wee kind of low budget ones. Just haven't bothered with them.
Right.
But we had Apes Lair, so quite a few folk didn't wait.
Sounds like a metal band.
Yeah, it's yeah, supporting Saxon Apes Lair. Probably as a metal band somewhere in Germany. I've just not heard of them yet. Yeah, but that was us. That's Planet of the Apes.
Absolutely.
That was
great
fun.
Series.
That was good. Yep. Take
Go
your
check out either
stinking
one.
paws off me, you damn dirty ape.
You know what? It's great though, because I mean, you've got basically an era for, you really like old movies. You got the old one. You like modern movies. You got the new one. You can't really go wrong with either one. And if you just like the franchise, then you've got better than 8 movies that you can just run through in a marathon and just have a great time.
Yeah, and the thing is, all the sequels of the original ones are about 90 minutes each.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have like a double bill with them quite easily and not get tired of it. And they all rattle. Hang on, I'll say that again. They all rattle along.
They don't wear out their welcome.
No, even though Battle's not the greatest of movies, it moves on. It's got a good pace to it.
Kind of the low point, though.
Well, kind of the low point, but like I say, I watched it again recently, and I thought, you know what, this is better than I remember it being.
Sure, but that's like saying, you can get used to the flavor of this crappy food.
Yeah, but at the same time, I tried to watch the Tim Burton one a wee while back, and I couldn't do it.
That's definitely the low point.
I couldn't do it at all. But yeah. Anywho, that's us. That has been Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, what a great episode.
It was indeed. That's episode 10. 10 of those.
I can't believe it. What is that, 20 weeks?
That's 20 weeks. Yeah, 10 of those. Cheers, Pete. And I'm pretty sure we were factual.
I'm hoping.
I'm hoping.
As long as it's confidence, as long as it sounds right.
I try my best. I try not to Google as much and try to do it all from memory, but every now and then you have to do a wee fact check. Next week is Comic Book Gold. So, Statto, I'm sure you'll be joining us in the chat.
I'll be there.
Yeah, I think everybody's got like a wrench that was here when we launched Tales of Dark. I just started throwing wrenches at everybody.
I hope some of them died.
So I'm sorry, I've not got the YouTube open. If there's any of you that don't have wrenches, I apologise. I'll try and get you one over the coming weeks so that I can have everybody that comes on here in chat has a wrench. But yeah, so I've got Russ Leach coming on. He's going to talk about Only Death Can Save Us. Russ, who comic book black belt, he goes by on Twitter, and he's worked on Doctor Who comics in the past, and he's very Bronze Age.
He's got some beautiful art.
Yeah, it's
very
terrific
clean
stuff. Yeah, it really is. It's very much like inspired by the inking of Joe Sinnott, over John Buscema and Jack Kirby and that kind of stuff. So
very clear storytelling. I like that.
I haven't got his list yet of comics there or influences, but I'm pretty sure I've read them all.
Right.
Because this is going to be, I think it's going to be very much a Bronze Age episode. So Bronze Age comics are your things. Yeah, join us next week with Russ, and then I don't know what I'm doing after that in a couple of weeks, but I'm probably going to be rest for a while with Comic Gold because Christmas is coming up and I've got too many comics to draw. But we shall return, me and Statto, with Dracula in Istanbul. And this is going to be a unique episode in which we partake of the classic that is Dracula in Istanbul, the classic Turkish vampire movie.
Looks like Harry Belafonte with teeth.
It does. Harry Belafonte with teeth. I think we'll probably have quite a lot of Harry Belafonte jokes. So it's going to be a very niche market we're going for. Yeah, but we're going to be doing that maybe in 2 weeks' time or roundabouts. Okay. Once I've figured out exactly how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I hold nothing back from my viewers.
No secrets between us.
We don't know how we're doing it yet, guys. But this is going to be fun. So it's going to be a kind of a watch-along episode with Dracula in Istanbul. And if you haven't seen Dracula in Istanbul, well, neither have we. So it's going to be interesting. Let's just say
come watch it with us.
What we got here? Oh, I don't know. I do have another stretch goal in mind. We're getting closer to Statto's stretch goal. We're getting there. But I do have another one in mind. Not so much monkeys. Think classic Universal monsters, and you'll be getting closer to it, Pete. That's the only clue I'm giving you. Okay, cool. So that's us then. Please join me next week, and Statto shall be in the chat, and we'll be talking to Russ, and hopefully in 2 weeks' time, if not very, very, very close to 2 weeks' time, join me in Statto for the first episode of Wullie and Statto Watch. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us and joining in the chat, and thanks, Statto, for doing this again for me.
No problem. Thanks, everybody.
Right, guys, I need to go and drink something right now because my voice is going. Okay, guys. Cheers. Good night.
Bye.